Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa. This is a special edition of Rappler Talk, and I hope you'll bear with us for the 30 minutes because you will, I hope, take action at the end of this. As early as 2013, a year after Rappler began, we focused on a problem that was a silent killer. It was a problem that no one, very few really looked at. We called it hashtag Hunger Project. And a year later, United for Healthier Kids, U4HK, joined the fight against hunger. Let me show you. Let's take a look at those sites so you can see hashtag Hunger Project. This was in 2013. And then here you go. When people became angry about hunger, although the millennials will say hangry about hunger, look at that button that says Act Now. I hope that after you hear some of the statistics, some of the key work of the two gentlemen with us, that you'll punch that button. Some stats coming your way. 30%, one in every three Filipino children born today are still malnourished and stunted. And that's as far as 2016. And then just last year, April last year, the nationwide survey run by the Food and Nutrition Institute said that chronic malnutrition or stunting is at its worst in a decade. Joining us today to tell you more about that is the man who helped run that nationwide survey, Dr. Mario Capanzana. He's the director of the Food and Nutrition Research Institute at the Department of Science and Technology. And next to him, Paulo Mercado. He's one of the key movers behind United for Healthier Kids. He's the Senior Vice President for Communication, Marketing, and Innovation of Nestle Philippines. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Mario, your study is alarming that we are at our worst performance in a decade in malnutrition. Can you, in stunting, can you tell us about that and what's being done about it?
Yeah, actually, stunting is one of the indicators, new indicators of what we call sustainable development goal.
Correct.
And we used to measure only underweight under the Millennium Development Goal. But with the shift in terms of this indicator, it's important that we understand what we really mean by stunting.
Correct.
Before I gave all those statistics, well, stunting is a situation wherein a child is not growing according to the age, the height. And it is something that is, we call chronic. If the nutrition situation of a child has not been met for so long a time, it becomes stunted. And it is a situation where the child, the nutrition situation, it become irreversible. So in our last survey done in 2015, and this is the end line of our Millennium Development Goal.
Yes.
And of course, at the start of the monitoring of our Sustainable Development Goal. So our data shows about 33.5, meaning more or less 3 out of 10 are stunted. And this is about among 0 to 5, and even on the age group of 5 to 10, it remains the same.
Okay.
So it's something that we need to address.
Okay.
I think those are a big problem. If you see the number,
Yes.
I think it's quite alarming.
Yeah.
Paulo, why are you focused on this issue?
The United for Healthier Kids is actually a global initiative of Nestle. It was launched about 2014. But globally, in fact 2013, sorry. But globally, the focus is mostly on childhood obesity.
Okay.
Because in the West and in other key markets, that's the problem that they face. When we started to take a look at the data from the Philippines, we saw that while childhood obesity does exist here, the number, I believe, is about 5%, is it?
Yeah, for the childhood obesity.
For childhood obesity, is about 5%. We saw that the much bigger problem was really malnutrition. And so we said that, if we're really serious about United for Healthier Kids, we need to do our role as Nestle.
Yep.
To really address the bigger problem that exists today. It is not just an advocacy for us in terms of what they call corporate social responsibility. We do feel that it is something that that as a food company, getting involved in malnutrition helps us also understand the nature of the problem, intervene when we can with better designed products or products that are designed to address certain, let's say, micronutrient deficiencies. But more than that, to also do our part in educating mothers, educating young mothers especially on proper feeding behavior. So for us, it's an initiative where by joining the fight against malnutrition, in the end, it will benefit us as well as a business.
Well, we were talking. I mean, I guess one of the things, Mario, you didn't mention also is that this is essentially capping a child's potential, right?
Yeah, I think we have studied that if the child condition like stunting, there's a lot of things that has been lost, an opportunity for a child.
Right.
For example, of course, the child becomes sluggish.
Yes.
The child may not be able to perform well in school, and as a result, he may not pass. And as a result of if he may not pass in the school, uh, he may repeat the grades and so on and so
Yes,
forth.
yes.
So there's a study that we are losing a lot of money as
Yes.
a result of the stunting. And we need to address this because opportunity for the child, particularly those children in the school as the subject of our study, is important.
Yes.
And before it's too late, we need to address it.
So again, it goes back to this, that if a child during a formative stage, and it is from what age to what age? Up until 2 years old, right?
Yeah,
So-
0 to 5, and then if it's in the school children, then that's something that at that stage it's already irreversible. What
So-
we need to do is to intervene at the
Right.
very early stage of the child life.
So if they don't get the right nutrition at that age, they can never recover later on.
Yes.
They will never grow to their true potential.
And we lost a lot.
And we've lost as a population. Paulo, it's interesting, we were talking about a demographic sweet spot. Everybody talks about the Philippines and how we've got a young population, our
Yes.
median age is 23, this demographic sweet spot. What does malnutrition do to this?
Um, so yes, it's often been touted that one of the key advantages of the Philippines is that we have a young population. That unlike countries like China or Japan, where they have an aging population, that the youth of those countries are burdened with supporting an aging population. We have the opposite situation where we have a very young population and supposedly a very productive generation. But when you take the longitudinal view of the impact of a third of our children today are growing up malnourished and stunted, one of the things also that is an important effect of malnutrition is that there is a measurable impact as well on intellectual capacity.
Yes.
At times, the ability to learn, the ability to even just stay in school, for example. So while we have a young population, if you project it forward to about 10 years from now, that 30%, will they be actually productive contributors to society?
Correct.
So it's almost like if you're a business person,
Yes.
the essence of running a good business is to be able to attract good talent
Yes.
and to be able to make good talent productive. But if 1/3 of that talent base is even unable to keep up with basic intellectual or knowledge processing tasks, then we would have a real problem.
Okay. Yeah. Mario, why? I mean, we've gone through many different administrations, and when you did this last nationwide survey, we were at our worst in a decade. Why has government not been able to address this efficiently?
Well, there are programs that are being put forward to address this. I think it is a multifaceted situation wherein the government alone can't solve the problem. There are lapses in terms of implementation, in terms of communication, on the proper way to address stunting. Like for example, we are focusing in terms of intervention a big amount for solving what you call for addressing problem of the 3 years old and above. And this is given. We have the 4 Ps, we have all the other hunger mitigation strategy, but they are addressing hunger and at that particular age.
Correct.
But if we want to address stunting or malnutrition, it should start on the first 1,000 days of life of a child. But specifically, when the child becomes 6 years old, about to 3 years old. This is a window, what we call it, a window of opportunity for the child, such that we can address stunting.
Got it.
And if we
6
miss this
months to
6
3
months
years.
to
Yeah.
3 years,
Yeah.
and if we miss this, I am always saying it's too late a hero.
Yes.
So the champion who should address this 6 months to 3 years is something that is missing. We have a programs and it's not addressing the proper age group
Correct.
that needs to be
I
addressed.
see. I see.
Because other programs are on addressing hunger, addressing the some economic activity of a
Right.
household, some health issues.
Even some feeding programs.
It's a feeding
right?
program, but that is in
that's
the
later.
later.
We
It's on
need
the
them.
6 about 3 years old and above.
Correct.
So the preschool, the one being fed in the community,
Is
but
this-
never on the 6 months, a complementary feeding period,
Wow.
which is the answer to this particular problem on particularly stunting.
Is CCT supposed to
CCT
address
is
this?
it's something addressing the health situation, the coping mechanism to augment
Right.
the household.
But you can't monitor.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
monitoring, but it's something that you report to school, at least 80%. You go to the health center, you consult the health facility, you deliver it. So those are the mechanism,
I see.
but never. Although they may be linked to certain feeding program,
Yes.
but the coverage is maybe in the household, but there's no specific program for this particular age group.
So this is interesting. On Twitter, Taj Madela actually tweeted us to say, hunger should be our priority before addressing the issue on drugs. Your comment on this?
Well, I think during
Yeah.
there's a very good discussion during
Yes,
our
with Senator
launching.
Grace Poe. Yeah.
And I cannot remember what she quoted.
Do you
Ah,
remember
you
what
want me
she
to?
said? Please, Pablo.
What,
It's something worth remembering.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that there was a great quote. What did
yeah,
she say?
she said, so Senator Grace Poe said, dapat ang gutom ang pinapatay, hindi ang nagugutom. That's one of the things that she
It's
said.
hunger because it's hunger.
And
Dapat
what
ang
we need-
gutom ay pinapatay, hindi,
Hindi ang
nagugutom.
nagugutom. And then she said the other thing that instead of extrajudicial killing, can we do extrajudicial feeding?
Feeding.
Oh, I remember
Instead
that.
of extrajudicial
Yeah.
killing, can we do
So those are two
extrajudicial
quotable
feeding?
quotes from Senator Grace. Yeah.
Very interesting. Is there a concrete plan in place now to deal with the 6 months to 3 years?
Yeah, I just came from a discussion with in the Congress. That's why I'm late.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was informed that the bill on the addressing the first 1,000 days has been discussed and is ready for approval, both
Fantastic.
in the Senate. So I think this is a good start. I think this is our last hooray, such that at the end of 2022 we meet our target in the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. So we have just crafted it, and that's the plan starts in 2017 and up to 2022.
2020.
So
The
that-
five-year plan. Yeah.
And the Sustainable Development Goals is
It's
2030, right?
2030.
That's no hunger, supposedly.
So zero, but
Yeah.
we are debating as to the final target in
Got it.
terms of our Philippine Development Plan on health and nutrition, and of course the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. And we need to come up with program that really targets particularly this age group.
That's really in the home, though,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
That's when they're born to 6 months.
Yeah,
to
I think that's the
years.
key. And with our policy being
Yes.
crafted along this line, I think I'm hoping, I'm positive.
Great. Paulo, tell
Yes.
us, so U4HK, what is it exactly? What do you hope to do with it?
Yes. When we were working initially on United for Healthier Kids, we thought of it primarily as an awareness campaign. But an awareness campaign on the issue and providing internet-based resources for educating moms. We even had a radio program at one point. What we soon realized is two things, similar to what Doc Mar has said. As Nestle, as a voice, just doing this, we're just a lone voice, and we will not be able to create impact at scale um, for this issue. So we needed to really take more seriously the united part of United for Healthier Kids. So the concept of u4hk.ph is that we wanted to be a platform. So a platform similar, for example, to Airbnb or Uber. So Airbnb, it is a platform which unites room owners or space owners to people seeking for space.
Right.
So what we're trying to do here, and we've started 10 NGO partners, is that we're giving them a platform to put forward their own intervention initiatives to combat malnutrition and hunger. We host them into this one website.
Right.
And
Let's show that website.
yes.
Can you take a
Yes.
look at that website? It's this.
u4hk.ph. Hungry about hunger.
Hunger.
Yes.
You can take a look. Go ahead.
Yes,
So
and
they're together in the
so
website.
we put them together on the website, and the idea is that and our target audience are millennials primarily, and we hope also to attract other corporate entities eventually to the platform as well. But if you're a millennial and you know about malnutrition and you want to do something for it, we try as much as possible to make it easy for you to do something by either you can donate, and it's a pass-through donation. It's not Nestle doesn't handle the money. We just provide the information of how you can donate to these NGO partners directly. You can volunteer, so we provide a calendar of activities of if you want to know what's happening, for example, this week,
Right.
where are the interventions happening, can you volunteer to any of these sites? You can. Or you can take any of the social cards available there and share. One of the things also that we've featured on the website is taking the data from FNRI. We've developed a hunger heat map.
That's great.
You know.
Let's show that one. Can
Yes.
you go to that website, then click the malnutrition heat
Yes.
map?
Yes. And so the idea there is to show, based on the FNRI data, where is hunger happening, where is it worse, and what we hope to do is to overlay on that one who is doing something about it in that particular area. So the idea is that over time we hope to get intervention, let's say pockets of intervention
Action
scaling
points. Yeah.
in the areas that need it most.
So what we see on the heat map right now is it's very high in Mindanao,
Yep.
in Mindanao area, some parts of Visayas as well.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
high.
Visayas.
Yes, the Visayas. Actually, in this
Yep.
one, right?
Yep, yep, yeah,
The
it's correct.
Eastern Visayas.
Eastern Visayas.
Yes.
And here, of course, this is ARMM.
Yes.
Yep,
This
yep,
area.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Is enough being done?
Well, we have a lot of, well, it's not enough. I think we need to, that's why Paolo said, we need to scale it up. We need to put together all our acts such that we can address the problem nationwide. We should not leave anybody from this campaign.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will fail. And to do that, I think aside from the government, aside from our international partners, we need participation of our industry and all other volunteers. I think that's how we look at it. Merely telling information about proper
Yeah.
food to eat
Yeah.
is good enough.
Yes.
I think it's not that we don't have enough food to eat, but our knowledge in terms of proper nourishment, proper proportion of food to eat is something that is missing. We always think that a plate should be full
Yes.
to be full, so that
Right.
we'll not be hungry. That's not the way.
Right.
We need to balance with the correct nutrition that will deliver the correct nutrient to our
So
body.
can you tell us, for parents at home
Yeah.
when their children are 6 months old, what food do they need? What will prevent stunting and malnutrition.
Yeah, yes, it on this food that's being that eaten by the 6 months to years old. Part of our survey is the dietary survey component. So we asked mothers what food they give to their children, particularly the baby. And of course, during the first at least 2 to 3 months, it's the breast milk.
Breast milk, correct.
But because of certain, like for example, mother has to go to work, mother has to earn something.
Yes.
So therefore, given early supplementary food, starchy base, lugaw,
Yes.
I think that's common, and we have the data to support that it's just
It's
empty nutrient. It has very thick, so it's missing in terms of protein.
Protein.
So proper complementary food is something that we need to address, and it's not really difficult. So proper food preparation when they are in 6 months to 2 years old. When they are 2 years old, we need to provide them with food commonly eaten by the family.
Yes.
And whether that is a soup or nilaga or mashed vegetable, and then that will be enough to provide the nutrient. Our basic munggo
Yeah.
Yes.
is
I love
something
this
that
example. Yeah.
it's not foreign to us.
Yes.
And it grows, in terms of production, grow anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So something that we need to educate the mothers, the family, and of course, the farmers should be encouraged to do the supply, the production.
Yeah.
So it's integrated approach towards this.
Paolo was talking about collaboration.
Yes.
So what can private sector do?
Well, I'd like to jump off from that example because those are the things that actually really excite me. So people talk about malnutrition a lot, but what's a potential solution and affordable? If mungo and rice is a viable solution, then I think where the private sector can really help, and I'm actually trying to push our own team to take a look at this. Okay, the rice, let's say, distribution and value chain is well understood, throughout the country because it's such a staple. But have agronomists really taken a look at the mungo value chain?
Yeah.
And in order to make mungo rice combination readily available and more affordable in the areas that need it most.
Right.
And then where platforms such as United for Healthier Kids can help is really give awareness on how do you create this solution, how do you scale it. If you're an NGO with program, what does this to give this recipe? Yeah.
How do you make millennials care?
Website is how low malnutrition and hunger.
We know
when
this.
when we measured it last year, it was I think 9th or 10th in terms of the conversations that millennials care about, and I think with only about 4,000 conversation points on publicly searchable social media platforms. We our strategy is first talk the language of millennials.
Yeah.
So this is why we chose first of all a hashtag, and then the idea of hungry, which is actually a millennial term.
Yeah.
It's a millennial term on their own experience of hunger when they've skipped a meal and they're feeling hungry, so hungry that they get irritable. That's the word that they use. I'm hungry. And we appropriated that word so that they can see that if you're hungry when you experience hunger, what more the children who experience chronic hunger,
Right.
and maybe this is what we need to get hungry about. So it's another way that we're inviting millennials on this is that we've actually provided the recipe, not the recipes, but the food that malnourished children eat on a daily basis. And we provided that on the site. And we invite people that, hey, if you want to really understand what hunger feels like, take this recipe try to experience it for a day, and you see that it's really not enough, and that many children suffer through this. And we've gotten some very good qualitative feedback that on this, that it's experience that moves millennials. They're an experienced generation. What I'm very positive about is they also call themselves the purpose generation. And we want to connect with that sense of purpose and that drive to change the world. But if they could direct it to hunger, and if they could direct it to very concrete activities that they can do to drive awareness.
So we're bringing the being disseminated into action points in different.
Be a program, not in the government, but also to the local level. We have our municipal nutrition action plan, and provincial, and things like that. So it's part of their plan, and it's beautiful. It's very good. But the question is whether it is effective and
Yes.
whether it's been implemented appropriately, or there's a gap. There's a plan. I think we are the model in terms of planning for nutrition.
Yes.
And our neighboring ASEAN countries really look at our plans. Having attended several discussions, and they said, your plan. But the question is,
Can we execute it?
Yeah.
And your response, your best
yeah,
case.
I think it's a challenge right now. And with the crafting of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, I think it is more on targeting those that are really needed. There is specific program, and there is specific government agency responsible for delivering. So there's an accountability.
Yes.
Previously, it's a plan
Yes.
where everybody will look at it, or I'm within the plan. But as chair of the technical committee, I'm pushing that there's some accountability.
Correct.
In terms of who will deliver what. Like, for example, if we target 21% in 2022, what will be the contribution of the agriculture? What
Yeah.
will be the contribution of education? What will be the contribution of the social services?
Yes.
And what particular age group? And how much is being allocated? I think
Yeah.
that one. But those are, the limitation of the government. What we need is particularly the other side, the private sectors,
Yeah.
which may cover
Correct.
the larger segment. We
Right.
touch those that are very critical in terms of the those that are severely affected by hunger or malnutrition. So,
Yes.
and if budget is not enough, so you take this first.
Right.
But private sector has no limitation. I think they can work on addressing certain particular.
Yeah.
I think the merely production, initiating the production of the raw materials in the value chain is very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the concept of your coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it really affects. It really helps the coffee farmers
Yeah.
Right.
find the market for the coffee.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's within the country.
Um,
And if that concept can be replicated in the
Yeah.
food that be suitable for complementary feeding,
Yeah.
then I think in one way or another we'll not be having a problem with the supply.
The website is still relatively new, Paolo.
Yes.
It's only,
About,
Rappler is a
uh,
partner. We launched
3
in
months, yeah.
3
Yeah.
months, right?
Yes.
So it's like our millennials, can we make a difference in dealing with these issues?
Yes, I would say that yes, we were actually surprised at the and the conversations around the social media space was about 3,000 just around the launch of Hungry About Hunger. And remember that the conversations in 2016 was 4,000 total for the year
Yes.
about malnutrition. That it generated that buzz. We have people who have been actually volunteering with the NGOs.
Fantastic.
There have been, or we were notified about 2 to 3, a few more than that, donation pass-throughs. It was 2 to 3 on the day of just on the day of the launch.
Right.
So it seems to be working, but we know that we need to be constant about about content that people. We need to do our work in continuing to expand the partnerships. So the partnerships with other NGOs, and also what we would like to happen is partnerships with other private sector industry players who have a similar view of wanting to combat malnutrition, but if we do it in a more focused way and address the problem areas and interventions defined by FNRI and the statistics of where hunger is happening, to focus the matters most. That's
Mario, new administration. I mean, are you getting your best case scenario of where this is going to go? You said that you just came from the Senate, so that's a good move. But is this a problem that's being addressed?
Yeah, I think I've never seen such a reaction on the issue. I think both addressing the problem or only several bills that like the first 1,000 days, the gulayan sa paaralan, and all other things. And I heard even the maternity leave has been
Yes.
passed.
Yeah, has
Yes.
been passed. Yeah.
And
Which is great.
that's what we found in our survey also.
Yes.
The reason why they cannot breastfeed is that they need to go back to
To
work.
work.
And where other countries, they have 6 months, even after the paid 4 months. I think that it's a positive move towards improving our the child malnutrition problem.
So
I think they'll be more encouraged. They'll be encouraged to breastfeed,
Yep.
which is the very start of life of a kid.
6 months, you're successful at stunting.
Just want to mention child unable to. So it's a study based on the result of still.
I would really government in terms of combating this area. So if the 2022 goal, so the 5-year goal,
Yes.
is to be at 21%, so we're about 30%
We're still
today.
debating.
Yes, okay. So whatever that goal is, United for Healthier Kids would need to align to that. Now, we would have interim KPIs as well in terms of what would be the scale of impact of our partner NGOs. So what does that mean? We take a look at the 10 partners that we have. We take a look at what is their reach in terms of impact on children. So some of them have
Yes.
10,000, some of them smaller, maybe 1,000, some of them much bigger
Yes.
than that. And we want to be able to agglomerate. The ambition is that to have an agglomeration of partners who together impact 1 million kids. Now either that's very big partners or many smaller ones, but that's the first ambition. And then we are setting also KPIs on how many volunteer pass-throughs do we get to the website, and how many donation pass-throughs will we
Yes.
get through the website. So those are interim KPIs, but the important one is scaling the reach and then getting private sector partners to participate, and not only with cash donations, but perhaps even sector expertise is needed. As I said, doing a value chain analysis of munggo.
Yes.
We do that with coffee, we do that with all of our raw material sources, but if somebody does that for munggo, that it might be something that you can actually optimize that value chain and provide it to the places that need it most. So initiatives like that are what I hope to be able to help with through Unite.
Just tweeted the if you want more information on how much 328 billion pesos a year due to childhood stunting. That's how much our country is losing according to FNRI. That's
326 or something, but it's more or
300.
less 300.
Oh,
It's
here
big enough.
we actually had, yeah, okay. And on your end now, how do we make people care about this? I mean, we've done games, we've done in since 2013, in the 3 years that we've been doing this, the numbers don't seem to be enough. Telling people about dreams that are cut short, and this doesn't seem to be enough. How do we make people care, and why will you click that Act Now button?
Yeah.
Why are you passionate about this issue?
Actually, I think because we go on the ground, and as the head of the agency that conducts these surveys, we go to the household, and to tell you the story that put my thing something like shock. Whenever we go to the household as part of the survey methodology of mission, we weigh the food early in the morning in the household and up to the end.
Yes.
And we see really the effect. And it's a first hand. And this is not in one or two households. This is throughout the country.
Yes.
And if they show you that they have only rice and salt for the whole day, and even sometimes not, you'll find your passion that really that we need to address this particular problem. So I think we have the solution, and as being said by our ASEAN neighbor country, we have a very good plan, and I see the plan is good. And if we'll be able to make really good execution, I think we will be able to do at least, if not zero hunger, at least in terms of stunting by 2022. I'm happy with 21.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Paulo.
We need to care. Now, the how to make people care, that's what we will need to experiment, discover, etc. But we need to care, otherwise we will lose yet another generation.
Yes.
That every hungry child has the potential to grow up to become an engineer, an artist, an innovator, an athlete, a leader. And we cannot afford to lose a generation, to leave them behind. You know, so for me, it's really that a passion mission to be able to create impact at scale, and to use data in science and methods of change intervention to really create impact where it matters most. So that's the aspiration.
We can't afford to lose another generation, particularly
Yes.
now with the age
Yeah.
of technology,
Correct.
with
Correct.
exponential growth. Right. Your last thoughts, gentlemen, as we close this. Guys, go to the website and click the Act Now button.
Yeah, I think with the information we are gathering, with the evidence that we're showing, with the science, technology, and innovation that we are putting to address this problem, I think we just need to collaborate, cooperate, work together, and I think the key word is scale up.
Yeah.
Scale.
Scale up. I think that's something that we need to do. We should not do it by pockets. I think if we'll not be able to touch, if you're looking at 1 million, let's make more than 1 million
Yeah.
to have our reach. I
Yes.
think that's the only thing that will improve our statistics,
Yeah.
because we can measure that. I think that's and we need to put our hands together.
Yeah.
We need to be what do you call that? Inclusive.
Yeah.
Not
In both approach and in distribution, right?
Yes.
Growth, distribution, scale.
Yeah.
I just remembered something, and it can be done.
Yes.
And I remember Doc Mar shared with us the story of how they were able to help actually address iodine deficiency,
Yes.
which was a serious,
Before.
which is a serious deficiency before, but the Philippines was successfully able to address it, and to provide interventions. At when was it eliminated?
Yeah,
2000?
towards last in the last survey period, and even now,
Yeah.
it's only the pregnant and lactating. Well,
Yes.
I think the other good news is that the anemia problem.
Anemia. Yeah.
And if you look at it, we have the policy that is put
Yes.
together,
Yeah.
like the fortification. We
Yes.
have policy on putting iodine in salt,
Correct.
and we're examining why it is improved.
Yes.
And the only nationwide implementation is putting iodine in salt. Although the level of iodine in salt is not that, compliant, but we see that the data shows that it's improved.
Right.
And we are hypothesizing that maybe because of the policy that use iodized salt in processed food.
Yeah.
And we eat a lot of, ham,
Yeah.
tocino,
Yes.
dried fish.
Yeah.
And if you use iodized salt, then you have
Yeah.
your intake. Like for example, also the fortified foods
Yeah.
with iron. And we see the improvement in iron
Improvement in-
deficiency
yes. Yes.
within the country. So policy works along that area.
Yeah.
And we have hope, as
Yes.
you have seen.
Yes, and I feel that's the idea. It's not just generating awareness, but also generating focused action
Action.
around specific targeted objectives. That's what will move the needle. And we believe it can be done. And the government, FNRI, has shown that they were able to do it with iodine deficiency. And now it looks like we're impacting anemia as well. So this is great news. So I'm
It used to
positive.
be about
Yeah.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Now it's about 4. And then in terms of the across population, it's already 20%, 2 out of 10. And it's no longer a public health problem.
Yeah.
Except for pockets. Of course, there are island group
Yeah.
that may have demonstrated high prevalence. But as a whole, I think it's improving.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Continue tweeting. Check out the website. It's Angry About Hunger. It's https://angryabouthunger.u4hk.ph. It's a problem. It's a debt to our future.
Yes.
We cannot lose a generation. Join in the fight. I'm Maria Ressa. Thank you for joining us.